You haven't seen Scott Pilgrim versus the World, have you?
I haven't. I am desperately wanting to. It seems like every time I go on Twitter, somebody is tweeting positively about Scott Pilgrim.
Usually me.
Yeah, well, yes. You've certainly contributed quite a bit to that discussion, but I am really excited to go see it, certainly as soon as I can.
Perhaps after you've done so, we can talk about it.
Most certainly. I would definitely be up for talking about it.
But for now, I have nothing to say to you.
And I'm Louis Midas.
And this is The Cloister Room, a podcast about Doctor Who and other things. I don't know whether he messes up any of his lines in this, because I don't remember whether he does that. He does that a lot. He messes up his lines.
I did notice someone else messing up their lines. I think it was Barbara. No, it was like when they were in the car. I forget exactly what. Like she started to say a line, but then she stopped and then started again.
Yeah, they did this all. They had to do this all in one take.
That's interesting.
They didn't have enough money to buy film to do more than one take, so a lot of these. It's why I say this about much of the classic series, but it's a lot like watching a play more than it is like watching a TV show in the way that we currently make TV.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That was when I sort of felt like I figured out the classic series, when I was like, oh, okay, it's more like I'm watching something on stage, except it just happens not to be on stage. Because I believe a lot of these scenes are just long takes, whereas modern TV shows are disparate parts that are edited together to make them sound continuous, sort of like this podcast.
Fascinating.
Well, not. Yeah, I guess it's a little fascinating.
Well, for someone who's... I mean, I don't really pay attention to these kinds of things, so for me, it's new and exciting.
And if you can find something new and exciting from a TV show in 1963, then good on you. So wait, I have a question. In general, what is your background in the classic series? About how much of it have you watched?
I could probably count the number of episodes I've watched on a single hand.
Well, the number of stories?
Well, yeah, stories.
Okay.
Right, because I would say, let's see, I've seen 2 Fourth Doctor stories, 1 Fifth Doctor story, and 2 Sixth Doctor stories, and I think that's it.
So is this the first time you've seen this?
No, I believe I watched it once before, but it's been a really long time.
Okay. I mean, like you, I'm primarily a new series fan. Not that I don't like the classic series, it's just that I'm more concentrated on the new series than many other Doctor Who fans. So, I mean, I always found the classic series to be a bit of an acquired taste.
I would say that's true for the most part. I think when the first classic story that I watched was The Hand of Fear.
Yes.
And it was I'd pretty much watched a lot of the new series, I guess, to see how it was very different, and I think it's definitely an acquired taste, because it was just seeing...
Do you feel like it's an acquired taste that you have acquired?
I actually do think that is true, because it was just very different at first, and I've sort of grown to... Yeah, I would say I've gotten used to what the classic series is really kind of about, I would say.
Yeah, because the first time I saw An Unearthly Child, I wasn't particularly impressed. It didn't really do much for me, but I've watched it a few times since then, and each subsequent time I find I enjoy it a little bit more.
It does have its strong points, I would say. It's kind of interesting to just see that this is where the show started, and you definitely get you can definitely sort of see it there.
And you did watch the real thing, not the pilot version.
Hopefully. Yes, I'm pretty sure that I did.
Did I warn you about that?
You may have. I don't really remember it, but you might have said something to that effect.
But yes, there is a version that they recorded before the version that made it to air It's mostly the same. It's just the Doctor's a little bit meaner in the original version, and they weren't happy with that, and stuff of that nature. So, yeah.
Interesting. He seemed pretty mean. I mean, I guess he wasn't really mean in the episode, but he seemed kind of, I don't know, grumpy, I want to say.
Well, yeah, I mean, either way, he's mean. He was just a little bit extra mean in the original version. But that's kind of one of the reasons it's sort of interesting, because he's much more of an anti-hero, which is odd to say about an old man, because usually you think anti-hero is some sort of like gruff badass guy, but he's just a crotchety old guy.
Yeah. That is interesting.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was considered particularly groundbreaking at the time. It seems a little bit less so today, but I
mean, it's actually interesting to see how the Doctor as a character has changed over time.
Oh yeah, definitely. But it's also kind of interesting to see, like in An Unearthly Child, the Doctor isn't even really the main character.
That's true.
It's Ian and Barbara, and they're sort of the way you get into what's going on. And that wasn't the case for a very long time in the classic series so much, but now in the new series, they've sort of returned to that. And it's much more the case, especially from Rose onward.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So yeah. I also like the directorial style of it quite a bit. It's very moody.
I guess I really didn't notice that so much.
Yeah, well, I did.
All right.
Yeah, it was directed by this guy, Waris Hussein, and he's all like, ooh, a lot of moving cameras, a lot of zooming in on things for no readily apparent reason, which is just kind of interesting.
I did notice the zooming in thing, actually, now that you mention it.
I kind of enjoy that, even though it might not make a terrible amount of sense. Like for instance, when she has the French Revolution book, and it just zooms in on the words, the French Revolution, which they go to in a later episode.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh.
I think it's later in the same season.
Oh, well, how nice of them.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of tying it all in.
Yeah, I don't know if that was intentional, but it's what they did.
Yeah, that was interesting. I guess it wasn't, I don't know, it almost seemed kind of, I guess, I was kind of weirded out by some parts of it. I don't really know. It was kind of like when they were doing the flashbacks to, like Susan in school, I was like, this is kind of weird.
Yeah, it's strange. Especially they use this, extremely ominous music.
Yeah.
In the background of those. Like you're supposed to be frightened of her. And,
right.
And she's like a bundle of nerves, and she seems all panicky about absolutely everything she's saying.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That's a strange choice that I don't understand. It is interesting, though.
Yeah.
There are also other things that are weird about it. For instance, the surreal effect when the TARDIS turns on, and then you sort of see the title sequence, I guess.
Yeah.
Also the fact that teachers are following a girl home from school.
Yes.
I was watching some of the special features on the DVD, and one of the special features says that in an earlier draft of the script, it was implied that Barbara had followed her home before and may have been drunk at the time.
Well, that's different.
Yes. There's also apparently a lot of sexism in the original script, where Ian is talking about how women can't drive from that scene when they're in the car.
That's quite interesting.
Yeah.
It's almost disappointing I didn't get that. That's not something that made it in. Now, 1963, they actually had those police boxes, I guess.
I think they were on the way out. Well, again, another thing on the DVD was saying about how those sort of went out around the time when police started carrying radios.
Ah.
So that would, I guess, I think that it said 1970. So I guess those were still around. And Ian mentions that they're usually seen on the street. I think he says that.
Yeah.
So I guess that's actually, it's really hard to put yourself in the frame of mind where that object is recognizable to you as something other than the TARDIS.
Right. Yeah, it seemed kind of strange to me because usually when people comment on it in the show, it's usually like saying how out of place it is.
Yeah, what is that? What's it supposed to be?
Right. It's very interesting to have that different sort of take on it, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Like, for a person watching it at the time, they would have known what it was and would have been surprised that it wasn't that.
Yeah.
Well, anyhow, I have a question. Have you seen the rest of the story at any point?
I have not. I actually am interested in seeing it, but I haven't really gotten the chance to.
Well, I don't want to rain on your parade, but it's not really all that good. I think some people like it more than I do, but it's a bit of a boring story about cavemen and the discovery of fire.
Oh, okay. Well, then I guess I don't want to see it.
Well, I mean, it's not, like, horrible. I think the doctor tries to murder someone.
Oh, well, that's different.
He tries to murder a caveman. And one thing you may have noticed in this episode is Ian makes specific mention of the fact that he doesn't have a lighter or matches on him.
Okay, I didn't notice that at all, actually.
Okay, well, it's dark in the junkyard, and Barbara says to light a match, and he says, "I don't have any on me." And I guess that's significant, because if they had one, they'd be able to just make fire.
Oh, I see it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or maybe it's just a coincidence. I don't know.
Yeah. It seemed strange to me because Susan seemed she said at one point to the doctor that she knows humans better than him, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that interesting, just because so I take it that this is like the doctor's. Do we know how old the doctor is at this point?
I don't think I don't think we do. I think the original, like, documents of explaining who the characters are that were shuffled around the BBC in the production of the show, I think they say he's like 600, but I think later stories with other doctors give lower ages than that. So I don't know, but I think we're supposed to understand it to be that he recently left his home planet, which isn't named here, and settled on Earth just a few months ago, and he spent most of his time just hanging out in the junkyard while Susan's at school actually interacting with people. So at this point, the doctor doesn't really know humans too terribly well.
Aha, interesting.
I believe that's what we're supposed to understand it to be.
So I guess, I mean, it's just interesting because, you see, like, the 10th Doctor, and he's very aware of, like, human culture and things like that, and it's just interesting to see that difference there.
Yeah. Although the 11th Doctor is not.
Yeah.
And cannot remember in which orders the centuries happen.
Yes. Or how football is played.
Exactly.
Another thing I noticed was just with William Hartnell, he did this thing quite frequently where he was, like, darting his eyes. Is that, like, a thing? Does he keep on doing that, or is that just he was trying to be mysterious?
Maybe a little both. I think he's trying to be sort of manic and othery a little bit. But I mean, he can't be jumping up all over the place like David Tennant does, so he just sort of has his eyes jumping all over the place.
I see.
Yeah, it's certainly, in a way, it's its own kind of energetic performance, but although it's not as energetic as you might see in the more recent series.
Interesting.
We asked people to suggest First Doctor stories other than Unearthly Child that we could watch, and we got a bunch of suggestions, but with one exception, everyone suggested different stories. So each story got one vote except for the Aztecs, which got 2.
Uh-huh.
So I suppose for next week, we should watch the Aztecs, which I think is 4 parts, and I think it's from season 1, and it's available on DVD.
Okay.
Although any one of those 3 facts I just said about it could be mistakes.
I will bear that in mind.
Or all of them. It could be a 6-parter from season 2 that's not available on DVD. For all I know. I should probably have looked that up.
Might be good.
Yeah.
I do think it is on DVD. I'm pretty sure of that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I watched it on Netflix last time I watched it, so it must be available on DVD.
There you have it. Unless Netflix just has pirated copies floating around.
Which they may. Or they could have done a fancy rip of a VHS copy, because all stories are available on VHS. Well, all Doctor Who stories.
Not necessarily all stories everywhere.
Right. I don't think we can guarantee that.
No, probably not. The VHS tape was around for quite some time, but I don't think they had a chance to put every single story ever onto it.
No, and, some more recent stories were released straight on DVD or Blu-ray disc and never made it to VHS.
Ah, yes. How very sad.
I know. I recently got a VHS player that works, though, so...
Really?
We had a broken one, and we had a new one.
Ah.
I watched The Little Mermaid for the first time in years.
Well, it's nice to see that you're making use of it, at least.
Yeah.
I guess I have a working VHS player. The VHS tapes that we have, just not really interested.
Really?
Yeah.
Why, because they're on VHS, or just because they're all not very interesting?
Well, I guess there are a few interesting ones, but, most of the interesting ones I have on DVD, so, why would I use the VHS when I can watch the DVD? Unless I really enjoy the lines and what have you that tend to happen with VHS, the static and what have you. Maybe I want that. I don't know.
Well, they also probably have different coming attractions on them.
Oh, that's true,
Like, if you really want to watch the original trailer for, for Aladdin, then you'll have to get the VHS of The Lion King. Clearly, my knowledge of VHSs extends to Disney movies and Disney movies alone. Because by the time I had matured to the point of wanting to watch other things than Disney movies, the DVD had come to fruition. I mean, I still haven't really matured past the point of wanting to watch Disney movies.
Well, and I would say, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
I know they announced the release of the soundtrack for the specials, and they also announced the release of the soundtrack for Series 5.
Ah, yes.
So, but I mean, that's the most exciting thing that has happened. And I think they began filming on Series 6 rather.
Oh, did they?
But I don't know anything about it, and I don't think I'm interested to.
I thought they were going to film. I thought they were filming most. Well, I guess they could start filming. Sure. I thought they were filming mostly in like November. I thought that's what I'd heard somewhere.
Maybe I know they finished the Christmas special.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which includes Dumbledore from the Harry Potter movies.
The living one?
No, the dead one, Richard Harris.
Yes, that's his name. There we go.
They have exhumed him for the purposes of appearing in Doctor Who as a corpse.
Well, an important role, You need corpses sometimes.
It is in fact Michael Gambon who is appearing as somebody. I don't know. And there's some opera lady that I don't know about. So, Sherlock, episode 3.
Yes. I quite liked it.
I liked it too.
Okay, I guess we're done.
Well, I mean, there's more to say about it. In fact, there was one thing I didn't like about it, and I don't think I really like the Moriarty guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't find him threatening, or I don't think he has a sensible accent, which I suppose are the two main things that you need in a villain, threatening and a sensible accent.
I thought the accent, it definitely was like fluctuating, and I sort of saw that as being sort of like crazy, like manic or something, like he can't pick an accent. He's, unstable, essentially. That's how I viewed it.
I'm not sure I did that.
Okay, well, that was my interpretation.
Okay, well, I mean, because he seemed entirely... I haven't rewatched the episode to get a better sense of his performance earlier when he's pretending to be the gay guy, but he seemed to have a consistent accent at that point, so maybe it was a deliberate choice to make him sound crazy. But I think he went between, like, some sort of English, between some sort of American, and then some sort of Irish, and then perhaps some other areas.
Maybe he is all of them.
He's just from everywhere.
That's part of the mystery or something. I don't know. I actually have rewatched it since, and I found it interesting how Sherlock himself was talking about disguises and, hiding in plain sight, and I thought that was very interesting with regard to Moriarty.
I did not pick up on that.
Yeah, because he impersonated a security guard at one point.
I see. Well, yeah. So yeah, I was certainly surprised when it turned out to be that guy at the end, though.
Yeah. I believe I gasped audibly.
There was a moment where I thought that Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss might have gone insane and were saying that Watson was Moriarty.
Yeah.
But only a brief moment.
Yeah.
Overall, though, I really did enjoy it. It did sort of make the second episode seem superfluous.
Yeah, the second episode seemed more like your sort of run-of-the-mill mystery television show kind of episode.
Which I think is a bad idea if you're only doing 3 episodes.
Yeah.
To do 2 episodes that are significant and one that's not really.
Yeah, that's true.
If it had been maybe 5 or 6 episodes and that had been one of them, then I don't think it would have felt as strange to me, but it is what it is.
Indeed. So it sounds like, or at least from what I've read, it sounds like or I guess it reads like, I haven't really heard anything, with my ears, but seems like the BBC wants to do more Sherlock.
It sounds and reads and seems to be so.
That's good, because in particular of the cliffhanger there, I want that resolved.
Yeah, I believe Moffat has said that there will be more. It's just a matter of when and how many. So that's something that they're already talking about, which is good. Apparently, it was a very well-received show. It's always good when good things are well-received.
Indeed. Yeah, you don't get enough of that.
No.
You know.
At least not here in America. Maybe they do more over there in the UK. It is coming to America as well, but not to BBC America. It's apparently coming to PBS in October.
Ah, okay.
It's going to be part of Masterpiece Theater, I think.
Ah.
Or whatever they call that show now. I don't know what they call it. I don't think they call it Masterpiece Theater anymore.
Yeah, I haven't really watched that in a good number of years.
I'm not sure I've ever watched it.
I think I watched it at least once. I want to say that. Maybe I'm just lying to myself.
I wonder if there's like a really dedicated Masterpiece Theater fandom.
What would that be like?
I don't know. They probably have Masterpiece Theater fan forums and MasterCon. In the following segment, we discuss trailers for new television shows premiering in the United States in the coming fall season. If you'd like to follow along with us, please check out the post for this podcast episode on www.thecloisterroom.com for links to the trailers. If you can't do that right now, or simply choose not to do that for reasons of your own, then here's a brief rundown of what we're discussing, because, in retrospect, we didn't do a very good job of explaining it. First, we're discussing The Event, an upcoming conspiracy drama with a national or perhaps even global scope. Then, we talk about The Cape, a show about an innocent cop framed for a crime who goes into hiding and fights injustice under the guise of his son's favorite superhero. Then, we discuss Undercovers, a spy drama by well-known television and film figure J.J. Abrams. And finally, we talk about No Ordinary Family, a show about a regular family just like yours who develops superpowers. Unlike yours, because you don't have any, do you? Anyhow, thank you for tolerating this brief interruption, and I now return you to the podcast. So you did indeed check out some of those trailers for upcoming fall television shows.
I did. And trying to keep them all straight in my head because I watched them back to back to back. What did we have? We had The Event.
The Event.
I don't really. I feel like that one's trying to be mysterious, which I think is.
It does seem to be very artificially mysterious. Apparently, people who have watched the pilot, like critics, I've heard them say that they have no idea what the event is or whether it has already happened. And I think a show that is so mysterious that it will not tell you what its premise is, that might be a bit much, but if I hear that it's good, then I'll probably check it out.
Yeah, I'm willing to give it a try. I'm not expecting much from it. And what else was there? There was The Cape. That, I think, has some promise.
It does. It has, well, for one thing, it has Summer Glau.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, it seems like Summer, I mean, of course there wasn't a whole lot that we saw, but Summer Glau and possibly her most normal television appearance in some time, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, she did Firefly, she did a crazy person. On Terminator, she was a robot. And then on Dollhouse, she was also a crazy person.
Yeah.
So here she appears to be fairly normal, although I'm sure we'll soon learn that she's, I don't know, some sort of...
a crazy person? Or a robot?
Or, yeah, a crazy robot. But yeah, perhaps, I mean, the show does look a little bit on the cheesy side, but I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
It looks like it might take itself a little bit too seriously.
Yeah, I could see that.
But, you know, it looks interesting. I will probably give it a viewing.
Yeah, I think it's worth at least some of my time.
It's just not very much.
But my time's not really that valuable, so...
Yeah, well, obviously.
But yes, so there was Undercovers, I remember that. That was what it was called, right?
Yeah, Undercovers.
Yeah, now that I was kind of meh on until I saw it was from J.J. Abrams, and now I'm like, huh.
Well, it looks like it could be a fun show.
It does, but I was still kind of meh on it.
Yeah, and it's the J.J. Abrams thing. Apparently, I guess J.J. Abrams is stopping working on Fringe because he works on a show and then leaves it and then goes and does something else.
Lets it fend for itself.
Yeah, which sometimes works, but I'm sure if this is a success, he'll leave it too. But it stars Gugu Mbatha-Raw, who is Martha's sister from Doctor Who.
Oh, I didn't recognize that.
Yeah, well, she is doing an American accent.
That's what threw me.
She has a very strange name. And it's I don't know, it looks like it could be fun.
Yeah.
I suppose that's the best that can be said about it. It also looks like it's self-consciously trying to be like one of the only shows on network TV that's about black people. Not even from the pilot, but from the buzz around it. That's what a lot of people are talking about.
Okay, yeah, because I didn't really get that from the pilot, or not the pilot. The trailer. I didn't get that sense.
Yeah,
really.
I suppose what I just said might be construed as horribly racist. but what I'm saying is that a lot of the buzz around the show that I have heard centers around the fact that it is an action show which stars a black couple as the main characters.
Well,
so.
That's interesting. You know, I actually am. Have you ever seen the movie True Lies?
I have not.
Okay, it's who does it have in it? It's Arnold Schwarzenegger and I forget this actress's name. I'm gonna remember it, and I'm gonna be upset that I couldn't remember it right now. But anyway, that's not even really all that important. But it's kind of like spy-ish with like, but kind of comedy-like, and it just was sort of. I got that sort of feel from this trailer.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed the movie True Lies, which, you know, so it's got that running for it. I guess. If it was trying to evoke that in me, then it worked.
Well, another thing people seem to be comparing it to in the buzz I've heard about it is the show Chuck.
Ah, yes.
Which is another spy comedy show. I think this probably isn't going to be as much of a comedy, but it's a spy show. Only Chuck has like science fiction elements to it.
I've watched like the first 3 episodes of Chuck, maybe.
Yeah, it's a fun show. So yeah, that looks like one that I may well be checking out, and I hope it's good.
Well, yeah, and definitely J.J. Abrams certainly has a history of making good shows and films.
Yeah, that's a name worth checking out on its own merits alone.
Yeah.
Well, actually, not really the merits of his name. I mean, it's a good name.
Oh, it is.
But more him.
Yes, the man behind the name.
And then the other trailer I sent to you was No Ordinary Family.
Ah, yes. Yeah, that was that looked kind of at first. I definitely got like a kind of Incredibles vibe from it.
Yeah, definitely.
Not to say that it's not, it doesn't have potential.
Yeah, it's not particularly original looking.
Right.
It also seems a little bit similar to, Heroes or Fantastic Four or almost any superhero thing.
Yeah. Well, it's got one of the actors from the Fantastic Four, doesn't it?
Who?
Isn't it that guy?
Well, I never saw the movie Fantastic Four.
Oh, did you not?
No, I did not.
Oh, I kind of like the movies, actually.
So who is the Fantastic Four person?
The dad, I think. Unless I'm just mistaking him for another bald white guy.
They're a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a bald white guy in the trailer for the Undercovers too?
Was there? There may have been.
I don't remember. Was he bald? I have horrible memory for hair.
Yeah, I don't really know. I'd have to. Actually, yeah, it seemed like there might have been a bald white guy in the trailer for the event too. You know what?
Well, certainly balding. Oh, well, actually, there was in the trailer for the event. I'm going to horribly butcher his name. It's Zeljko Ivanek. I sort of have this bizarre obsession with him, and he was in the show Damages. He had a very small role in Lost. He played Juliet's ex-husband. Huh. He was in Heroes. He's in all kinds of stuff. He was also in True Blood, which I'm currently watching, which is a sexy vampire show. He's a bald white guy.
All right then.
Yeah, so bald white guys.
Yeah, American television seems to be littered with them.
You are a great champion, I might say, or are you not, of the movie Tron, aren't you?
Well, yeah, I would say so.
You are a great fan of the movie Tron, and I think you are one of the people who told me that it was worth seeing.
Yeah, probably I did. I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm like a great fan. I'm probably a pretty good fan.
Oh, okay. Well, you're a pretty good fan of Tron.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about the upcoming movie?
To be honest, I haven't really been following all that much news about it, perhaps shockingly. I don't know. I guess I was just planning on going to the theater and being surprised. I don't know.
Who does that? Seriously.
Me, apparently, and that's about it.
Oh, okay. I can't remember the last time I went to the theater to see a movie I knew virtually nothing about.
I do it all the time, actually. Like, I didn't know anything about Inception. I went and saw that.
Yeah.
I know very little about Scott Pilgrim, to be honest with you.
Okay, well, then I won't tell you.
Well, if you wanted to break that, pattern, you're more than welcome to. By no means do I think it's my MO.
Well, Scott Pilgrim is based on comic books that are better than it, and you should read the comic book.
Okay.
But other than that. So yeah, am I out of line in thinking that a Tron sequel is entirely unnecessary?
Unnecessary as far as like the plot is concerned, I'd say you're probably right, because there's not really, I wouldn't say that there's a whole lot you could expand upon. I would say for the most part that anything interesting that happened in the first movie doesn't really need any sort of expansion. There certainly aren't any like unexplained phenomena that need a sequel to explain them or anything like that. But in the sense that I don't know, I'm keeping an open mind.
Yeah, like, I mean, I got to the end of the movie and there was nothing about it. I mean, I enjoyed it, but there was nothing about it that made me feel like, oh man, I can't wait to see more.
Yeah.
About this world and these characters.
But then again, what leaps out in my mind when you say, man, I gotta see more, I think of my reaction to the end of the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, and I was, like, praying they would make, maybe not necessarily praying, but, hoping they would make sequels. And they did, and, well, I didn't really think much of those sequels.
That's a good point.
So perhaps it's a good thing that maybe you don't feel that way about Tron. And, I mean, I got that feeling as well. So maybe there's no, I don't know. I don't know what I was going to say there.
Well, I mean, I'll probably see the sequel, and I guess I'm kind of interested to see what it looks like. I don't know much about it other than the fact that it involves the guy's son, and that the guy's son has an old man voice, which I know from the trailer. He kind of sounds like this. It's like, are you saying my dad is still around, or something like that?
Perhaps he's a chain smoker.
Yeah, or perhaps he eats cigarettes. So... yeah, I mean, I feel like I haven't said anything.
Well, the thing is, I hope this is not just the case, but I feel like the reason they might be making a sequel is because of where CGI is now. And I mean, like, the original Tron was like the first movie to really use CGI at all. And I feel like, I mean, they're certainly making an effort to make it look very pretty, which I completely endorse, and I think it looks gorgeous. Especially, comparing it to the original. But I want to say that they're going to have a good sort of plot to go along with it, beyond just the prettiness upgrade.
One thing I will say about the original Tron is that even while the graphics, the CGI does look very primitive, the game sequences are still really cool.
Yeah.
Like, the light cycle thing is still really exciting, and they're still very fun to watch, even though they're not very sophisticated.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I guess having primitive CGI sort of works when you're inside a computer. Like, especially some of the early CGI, I want to say the thing that I think of is actually Alien 3, or Aliens 3, I don't know what it was. But, like, I think they tried using CGI in that, and it just looked horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Alien 3 was not a very good movie to begin with. But, it seems, certainly, in the early days of CGI, it really wasn't to the point where you could use it for just about anything.
Right.
But in sort of a virtual world, I think you've got more flexibility. So I think it worked there. Yeah,
because you could be like, okay, well, that's just what the inside of a computer looks like.
Precisely.
Oh, also another thing seeing Tron finally did for me was it completely disenchanted me with the Canadian computer animated series Reboot, which rips it off very heavily. But I don't know whether you've seen that.
I have not seen it, but I seem to recall you talking about it.
Yeah, it's very, very similar. So, Lewis.
Yes.
I have a question for you.
Do you?
Well, it's more of a hypothetical situation.
Okay.
Let's say you are a listener to this podcast.
All right.
Okay, and you have an opinion about it or something we said in it.
Huh. All right. This is novel.
Do you?
Well, do I hypothetically or do I actually?
Yes. Does this hypothetical you?
Yes, hypothetical me probably would have a question or two.
Well, not even just questions. I mean, also opinions, comments,
Opinion, sorry, yes. Well, anything really. Who knows?
Oh, okay. Well, So how do you think...
hypothetical me is rather inquisitive.
Well, okay, so hypothetically speaking, what's one way you might choose to contact us to let us know about your comment or question?
Well, there's always thecloisterroom@gmail.com, that email address.
That is a good email address.
It is.
But let's say you want to contact us, but you're not too terribly into writing text into a text field that lets you write a lot of text. You want to be more restricted in the amount of text you're allowed to write.
Well, I suppose I could use the Twitters.
Twitter?
Yeah, and I would probably point my @reply to the Cloister Room.
Really?
Hypothetically.
Okay. But what if you didn't really want to say anything to the Cloister Room? You just wanted to say it to me.
Well, I would probably use your Twitter, which is T. Dickinson.
Yeah, that is it, isn't it?
That is.
Okay, but what if hypothetical you wanted to say something to actual you?
Well, I would probably point it at the Twitter username Mila's Belly.
Really?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
I mean, hypothetically.
Yes.
Once again.
Okay. I'm getting a little bit tired of this conceit, so I'll just tell the listeners that they can also comment at thecloisterroom.com.
Yes, that was quite a bit lengthy, actually.
Yeah, well, it wasn't your fault. It was my fault, really. It was unnecessarily drawn out. It wasn't really a very good way to communicate all that information, but they have the information now, and that is how they can contact us and also let us know which second Doctor story we should watch.
Right, and we're watching the Aztecs for next podcast, yes?
Yes, next week we are watching the first Doctor story, the Aztecs, but the week after that, some kind of second Doctor story, and they can suggest which one. Although I would actually ask that it be a complete story and not one with missing episodes.
That's always good.
A lot of Patrick Troughton stories have missing episodes.
This is exciting for me. I have never seen Patrick Troughton at all. Not ever.
Someone's probably going to suggest The War Games, which is 10 episodes long.
Okay.
All right, would you be cool with that?
I would be perfectly all right with that.
Okay, so it doesn't matter if it's a ridiculously long story?
I don't think so.
Well, then, you know what? If that's what you want us to watch, then tell us to watch that. And we will. I guess that means we've reached the end of this podcast.
I guess so.
Let's just tell the people who we are once again, in case they've forgotten. My name is Tom Dickinson.
And I'm Louis Midas.
And you've been listening to The Cloister Room. See you next week.
Bye.